Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just gonna be moving some grain over this afternoon, or some pea hulls. It's not really grain. These are our 4 feed bins. You guys know that. This is our beet pulp bin, and it's actually empty right now because we just ran out of beet pulp. It's basically a byproduct of the sugar beets, and I believe we buy it usually out of Taber, Alberta, or Lethbridge, Alberta, that kind of area. And last fall they had a really tough harvest, so we couldn't really buy any. We found out that pea hulls is apparently a very similar feed as beet pulp is, and it does the same kind of thing for the cow. I believe highly digestible fiber. And so we bought a couple loads of pea hulls. We just got our first load this afternoon, so I'm gonna take it from a bigger bin and dump it into that small feed bin so that we can start feeding it. I think we're gonna start feeding it right away tomorrow morning, so I gotta get that moved over, and that's what we're doing this afternoon. So we're getting our truck filled up now. We just dumped that first load of pea hulls into one of our bins here. We're getting 3 loads, so we have to put it in a big bin. And this is what the stuff is. There was a bit spilled here. This is literally the first time I'm looking at it myself. It's all the shells from the peas. I guess they were green peas. And they basically have some feed value. This is a byproduct. I guess those peas were processed at a plant. This is a byproduct. It still has some feed value, so we can feed it to our milk cows. And it's got some protein, I'm sure, or some sort of feed value, so we can feed it to the cows. So it's pretty awesome. It's a byproduct from a different industry, and we can feed it and still make use out of it. Starting to heap up there. This stuff is super light, so I'm not worried about overfilling this truck. So I'm gonna try and get 3 peaks in the truck, and this way I'll get a really nice full load. I guess this stuff is pretty dusty. Alright, so I'm gonna park this truck back in the shed because we're done with this, and then I'm gonna park that red auger back at that bigger bin because we're gonna get another B train of these pea hulls this evening yet, around 6 o'clock. I think it's gonna be dark by the time they show up, but they're gonna be coming later today to drop off another load. So we gotta get that auger back over there. That is one sweet truck. It's the next day, and I'm just putting some barley grain into our feed mill here, the new hammer mill. This is the 3rd load going in there, so I'm already almost done. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I made a bunch of videos installing that hammer mill, and it's running right now, and it's pretty awesome. I'll show you guys the difference between what the barley grain looks like after it goes through that hammer mill versus our roller mill. I saved a little bit of the processed barley that went through the roller mill just so I could show you guys the difference, and this way you guys will really be able to understand why we switched from the roller mill to the hammer mills. So on the left here is through the new hammer mill, and the stuff on the right is what went through our old roller mill. And you can see the stuff is still pretty much whole compared to what the new hammer mill does. It's way more fine. So that's the biggest reason we switched from the roller mill to the hammer mill. The cows are gonna eat that newly processed barley grain, and they're gonna be able to digest it a lot better than it going through that roller mill. If you gave cows whole barley grain and didn't process it at all, didn't crack it at all, they would just crop it out and they wouldn't utilize that barley grain at all. So in theory, the finer you make it, the more they're gonna be able to utilize that barley grain, and the more bang for your buck you're basically gonna get out of that grain. You're gonna get more milk, and you're gonna spend less money. So that's why we made the switch. It's a couple hours later and I figured I'd come back here and talk about this thing while it's not running anymore so you guys can actually hear what I'm saying. So this is just the hammer mill, made in the USA, I guess. That auger right there is the feed auger, and that electric motor goes off of this one. So the harder this one works, the slower that one goes. You don't want to overfeed this hammer mill, otherwise that thing will stall out. If it starts to work too hard, it's feeling okay, it's gonna stall out this motor, that thing will back right off and feed it a lot slower. So this way we're able to keep this hammer mill right maxed out 100% of the time it's running. So the first group is being milked right now. These are the first ones that are finished. They literally just started. A couple groups are through the parlor right now. And I'm gonna lock the side before they go back in there. The head lockers. Because the first thing a cow does after she's done being milked and goes back into her group, hopefully she goes and eats food. This way, I'll catch most of the cows and I'm gonna trim their tails. Standing in the parlor, you can see the tails are pretty long. We gotta milk them from behind in the parallel parlor. It gets kind of annoying if cows' tails, the hair on there gets a little bit too long. So we're just gonna take the cordless trimmer. We're gonna see how many tails we can trim up and make milking a lot more enjoyable. I was just walking past the parlor and Clusta called me. Said one of these hoses is leaking some iodine. These things spray the iodine straight on the cow's teats as soon as it's done being milked. And one of these hoses right close to the milk claw is just leaking and makes it super easy to fix. We'll just cut the hose super close, pull the old pieces off, and then push up the clean, good hose back up onto the milk claw. Awesome, so just like that, which is all fixed up. So the second group is pretty much all done. There's just 2 more up in the parlor, but we're gonna get started here because most of the headlocks are filled up with cows. You can see by far most cows went straight to the headlock, started eating, got locked up, and now they're all locked, so that's good. We're gonna be using this cordless trimmer here. I guess that's the brand. I don't know much about trimmers. I used to be in 4-H, but apparently this is a nice one. I don't know. It's got a battery on there, and it's just cordless, so it's really nice. And we're just gonna walk along the back of all the cows. Three weeks before any of these cows calved, they did have their tails trimmed, but usually they're in milk for over 300 days. And over the course of that time, they start to grow out quite a bit longer. So there's some cows with some pretty long tails. Right here, you can see the difference. So she's been milked for quite a while, and she probably calved, I don't know, a week, 2, 3 weeks ago. So you can see the difference in the length of tails between 2 cows in this group. Alright, so I had to get my sister to film me for a bit here because I kept trying to put the GoPro on the ground and the cows just wouldn't leave it alone. So basically all I'm doing is I'm grabbing the cow's tail, and the longer part of her hair, you can feel there's no actual cow tail right here, and her tail actually starts around here. So I'm just grabbing it right here and then just trimming downwards. I'll get to the end and straight off. Doesn't have to be perfect. Show her, you can feel the skin and the bone right here. So we'll hold a little bit further down. She's gonna be real nice for me here. Probably gonna comment down below, don't cows need their tails to swat flies away? Well, it's kind of getting towards the end of October right now, and there's definitely not going to be many flies in the barn anymore, and so don't have to worry about that at all. It's just going to be in the way in the parlor when we're trying to hang those milkers under. So One thing you'll definitely notice with the sand beds, the cows will get a bit of sand in their tails and it wears out the blade pretty quickly. You can definitely feel it getting dull after even just 30 cows or so. It's pretty crazy. Sand wears everything right down. Well, we got probably 50 cows trimmed right now. Battery's dead on the trimmer. We'll go replace it. Just comes up like that. It is cold in the barn right now. My sister, she's scraping on that side of the barn with the bobcat. That side's being milked, so no one's in there. You can see, she doesn't even want to close the door for me. Her little brother is just freezing right now, trimming tails. It's -10 outside, just getting colder and colder in this barn. She doesn't even want to close that door. She's got a garage door opener in the bobcat too. Unreal, man. I tell you, sisters, you guys gotta watch out. I'm letting this group go now. We made it down the entire length of the head lockers, which means we've probably trimmed about 120 cows or close to it, and it's quite a few. There's 144 in that group, so we didn't get everybody, but by far the most. So the second battery on the trimmer started to die here, so we're gonna have to charge them up. They don't charge too quick. The other one's probably halfway done now, so I can't just go over to the other side, but we'll do that another time. I kind of wanted to get these girls done anyway, so that's nice. Just want to take a quick little look at the TMR here, or total mixed ration. It's what we call the feed that's in front of the milk cows here. And I want to see if I could see any of the pea hulls in here. We started feeding them this morning, so they're in this batch for the first time. And I just wanted to see if I could find any. You guys can also see how much finer the barley is in here. You pretty much can't see any whole barley. If you do see any, it's from the silage, not from that processed stuff through that hammer mill, so that's pretty awesome. See that lighter piece right there on top of my thumb? That's a pea hull. Oh well, regardless of whether or not I can see the pea hulls in the feed, cows seem to like it, so. Cute little bull calf to end the day off. If you guys made it to the end of the video today, comment down below sweet Peterbilt, because that was a pretty sweet truck that showed up today. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Check out the Instagram @SaskDutchKid, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.